Computer, show me the episode.
Siri, hey Siri, start Mr. Boop. Starting, being Mr. Boop. No, Mr. Boop, not being, starting being Mr. Boop. You're listening to Being Mr. Boop. When the boop hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's divorcee.
No, you should have done the
Okay,
Spanish.
my name's Ryan Pfeiffer and I'm Mr. Boop.
You should have done the Spanish Flea one. It would be more funny. You're listening to Being Mr.
How so?
Because that one's come up like 5 times in this like month. I don't know.
Has it?
It's come up a lot. You said you were getting sick of it, and then that came up the next episode or something like that.
Don't remember.
Anyway, you're my name's Lisa Boop, and I'm Mr. Boop.
Oh, Lisa, it's Wednesday, July 8th, 2022. We're reading the 122nd ever Mr. Boop strip. What happens in today's Mr. Boop?
You know what's crazy about that statement, Ryan? All of it is true. All of it is true. All of what you just said is very true.
I can't tell if you're being ironic. Is it true, or did you forget to update that part?
No, it's true. It's real. It's real.
Okay.
In today's episode, we get in some insight into Betty's sick and twisted mind. Her evil, fucked up thoughts.
Shadow synopsis. I like drawing Mr. Boop. I like talking about Mr. Boop. Not really, I don't.
And I do too, Ryan.
I want a t-shirt that says, I would rather be discussing Pinocchio.
Oh man, I've had so many podcast ideas that I'd rather be doing. The Sailor Moon
Well, we
one.
just gotta finish this, then we
What's
can do
that?
Charles Dickens.
Ah.
Daryl's Chickens.
The son of Charles Dickens and the little... That's
Remember from Matilda when she's...
I
When,
was
have you ever
saying-
seen Matilda?
No. Joy without pleasure. I read Matilda though. Hey, it's what taught me the
No, but
difference.
it's a thing in the movie where Mara Wilson accidentally says Daryl's Chickens and they kept it in.
It's what taught me the difference between your, and your. I think there's a bit in the book about it, or maybe I was just reading.
As
I was
in
like,
your
no, wait,
picture?
no. Okay, no, sorry. It taught me the difference between the theirs because I was reading the book and I saw they were using different spellings of there, and I was like, huh. I guess those.
Goldilocks and the Three Theirs.
I was like, I guess they have different meanings. And then I asked my
That'd be-
parents, and like, well, there,
Goldilocks.
like, well, there with an I means they're persons.
Is that
pretty-
funny?
No, I'm cutting it out the episode actually.
Oh. Okay. Are you gonna bleep it or are you
No,
gonna do it?
I'm just gonna cut it out.
How?
I'm just gonna slice. I'm just gonna slice and slice again.
Where?
I'm gonna make it so that I'm like when you started saying it, and I'm gonna like when you start saying the first word of that, I'm gonna slice it into when you finish saying the last word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there are 4 panels. The flapper shot here, we see Mr. Boop, not Alec. Mr. Boop.
Wait, what are you talking about? Who's that?
Mr. Boop.
What?
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 Are we looking at the same strip?
Mr. Boop?
Or are you feigning confusion?
It's really our perfect like chemistry that really gets we when we're going for a bit, the other one gets it, right? I like that.
I couldn't. Yes, and I also don't know who this is. Yeah, is that and scene. We see Mr. Boop, Betty's dad, not her husband. Don't want to get those confused. Sitting at his desk, hands crossed in that sort of Evangelion pose. Who's the character?
What? Oh, Shinji's dad, Akari.
Yeah. So Betty's dad is emulating the Shinji's dad pose, I guess, in a way. And he's looking at what's his face? Kyle, is that what we said?
No, Frank.
Frank, sorry.
Come on, respect our listeners.
So sorry, Jenny. Sorry, Adam Cat Scratch. He probably doesn't listen. Hey, thanks to the Patreon supporters, because we forgot to say that in the last bonus episode. Thank you, Patreon supporters, for following the Pitch Drop Patreon. You're gonna have to make this a bonus episode now so that they can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to being.
Don't do that, actually, Lisa. That was a bit.
Ryan, I know when you're doing a bit, and that was not a bit.
Yes, it was. He's talking to Frank, who's got a big Adam's apple for some reason.
Yeah, like some kind of
Mr.
guy.
Mr. Boop has no neck. Mr. Boop is kind of grimacing or scowling at Frank, who's in front of his desk, in the bottom left of the corner. Mr. Boop says, "What was Mr. Boop's voice?"
And what did he say? Oh, I simply must.
Yeah.
I simply must.
This will be Mr. Boop's voice. And what did he say? Electral heart. He doesn't actually say that. There is an electral heart, though. And what did he... and what did she say? What does Frank say?
Oh, I think we've spoken to her husband, sir.
It says, I actually spoke to her husband, sir.
Oh, yes,
Electries.
indeed, it does.
And there's
an electric off the top.
I said that.
Yeah.
This is the flapper shot. Panel 2, we cut to a shot of Frank. Head-on shot of Frank.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the left of the panel. Mr. Boop responds. Oh, Electro Heart. Interesting. And what's he like?
Oh, he's a weird...
Electro Heart.
oh, and Frank responds,
Oh, he's a weird, scrawny dog with glasses. And I don't even understand what she sees in him. Oh.
I can't. You gotta do something else. I don't know what you're saying.
he's always squirrely dog with glasses. I don't really understand what he sees in him. Electro point.
No, not Electro Point. Electries. It's an Electries, Lisa.
Okay. And
Panels. Okay. Anyway. Panel 3, reverse shot. We just see Mr. Boop, and he's cracking his knuckles on one of his hands.
He's
Doing
angry.
like pounding his fist into one of his other hand. His
He's
gloved
pissed off.
hands. His immaculately gloved hands.
his very detailed glove hands.
Yeah, more detailed than anything else in the strip ever. And he's scowling with his big eyebrows, and he's saying, "Nothing. She sees nothing." Nothing is underlined. The second one is. She just wanted to hurt me for daring to control her life and career. The tantrum of a petulant child. Nothing more. Yeah. Curses, foiled again by Alec Robbins Boop. Soon to be known as Alec Robbins.
Panel 4, we've got Frank
I
looking sad
interpolated
again.
it.
And he says, "Oh, and I don't know if I should mention this, but they were having an orgy with Goku." And then his second speech will say, "You know what? I definitely should kept that one to myself. Lesson learned."
That's funny that he mentioned that, Dad. I feel like this is a recurring thing now that they're really getting into the story stuff.
Yeah.
Is he'll just have 3 panels of story development, and then the last panel is like, oh, and here's another thing that's going on that kind of takes you out of the story. It's just like a silly thing that was also happening.
Yeah.
Like a weird thing that's also happening that kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
Yeah. I think it's funny.
recurring bit. Yeah, and I said that it was funny at first too. I do think it's should be maybe a little bit more sparse.
Mm-hmm. But maybe how frequent it is what makes it funny.
If he can comment on that, if he can make a joke about that in some way, but I don't think he is. I don't think it's meant to be a joke that he keeps using that joke.
No, I think it is.
I think the fact that he used the same joke twice in a row, that was a joke, but now that he's sort of, it's not the exact same joke, but it's like the same delivery style type of punchline, you know, I don't think that is supposed to be a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that means the other one wasn't either. Should we talk about copyright now? Should we? This can't be a bonus episode because it's too on topic.
Yeah.
So all right, you tell me. What do you think about copyright? I don't know.
I think that in my tamest opinion about copyright, I think that the fact that people only see the copyright owner's version as legitimate harms storytelling as a medium. Like when people are like, "Oh well,
Okay, here's an important question to kind of for me to understand where you're coming from. What do you think of fan fiction?
I think that fan fiction is good. I think it's healthy.
And I think fan fiction is cringe.
Well, no, because like I think that as a culture that shares stories, we need to have people who can adapt those stories and like do other things with it. I think it's harmful that people say no. You can only we can do it. Only we can do a Superman. Sorry. So maybe you should delete your account. You know, I think that people should be allowed to make stuff with whatever characters they want.
I think, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's good for companies to have monopolies on certain characters, I suppose. I don't think that it should just be anyone can make like a Batman story and it's as much official as any Batman movie. I mean, I don't know.
I think that there would be their air of like, oh well, this is the Batman from the same studio that made the last Batman that we liked, so that's interesting. So, but I don't think that it should be like, well, this is the only Batman, and the other Batman's the fan Batman.
I don't know. I'm conflicted. Like, I do think it would give more freedom to. Well, here's one thing about it is that something like Pinocchio, for example, which is not copyrighted by anyone. Now we're getting like 3 Pinocchio movies this year.
Mm-hmm.
And studios as it is love to reuse IPs that they have access to, and if everyone just had access to every IP, then every studio would just be making the same things.
True.
This is not my main argument. This is just something that occurred to me just now. Is that that would be a big thing? I think is that studios would just be like, oh, now we can use anything. We'll just
it's like, well, here's the
everyone is making like how everyone was making Sherlock Holmes. Now everyone's going to be making Batman. Everyone, you know.
Maybe some of them are good. I don't know. I think that we need.
Yeah, but it's just. I mean, and people get fatigue of Sherlock Holmes and
but
stuff.
I'd like that option. You know, I want that option to see what Grimehouse do with the Batman. You know, Grindhouse or whatever they're called.
Grindhouse?
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Grindhouse. Whatever. Anyway, just what I mean, like what people who aren't afraid to do certain things, like people who are like, oh well, I'm gonna make I don't know, another campy Batman, you know, which I guess they did with the Lego movie, but I don't know. I think that it will allow
kinda. I don't know. I don't really know. I guess I'm not sure what my argument is. People make fan things already anyway.
Yeah, they do, but it's like, yeah, I think that they should
there's
I think there should be more
and they're
legal
allowed to an extent. There's that Spider-Man fan film coming out, I think, right?
I don't know which one.
I don't know. People make fan films all the time. It's weird with particular franchises. More fan films are made. I don't know if it's just that those IPs are less strict or what it is. Like, there's so many Star Trek fan films, and a lot of them have actual Star Trek actors in them.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I don't know. Oh, here's one thing about it is maybe this is a dumb reason, but I would like to know like what is official. Like if anyone could make Star Trek stuff, I mean Star Wars stuff, I would be like, well, what's
that's
the
the
thing
thing.
that
Well, that's
what
why
are the things I have to watch?
That's why canon exists, I guess. Like the shell, like
But it's already confusing enough with Star Wars.
like I mean the word, for example, the word canon was introduced into popular culture. I mean, originally it was used for the Bible, of course, but the first time it was approached to like fiction was in the early 20th century, when people were trying to figure out which Sherlock Holmes books counted. Like, what's the Sherlock Holmes canon? And like, well, I guess it's all the ones written by the guy, you know, and the ones that weren't written by him aren't. And I guess they kept
Like
that.
what?
Like, because there are a lot of Sherlock Holmes books that came out that time that weren't written by him, and fans
Like
were like,
fan made?
yeah, and fans were like, what do we?
Wasn't it copyrighted?
I think it was just more lenient back then. There was less of a stranglehold on it.
Well, because I don't know, because the Sixth Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book, that would be you would consider that canon, right? But that's not by Douglas Adams.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, because I think that see, it would allow people to become more aware of, you know, more aware of creators and more respectful for them. To be like, well, this is the people who make the Batman I like and people who made the first Batman, you know? And they'd be like, well, now I can keep an eagle eye out for that.
I don't know if I completely disagree.
Mm.
I guess I just a lot of time I hear about like copyright laws being stupid, which I agree with, but I still think to an extent like these products belong to these companies, and I mean I don't. It's not good for companies to have a stranglehold on things, but I don't. I don't know. It would be weird. It's not good that Disney still owns Mickey Mouse, but since like they've kind of ruined a copyright as a result.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it'd be weird for anyone else to own Mickey Mouse, you know?
Yeah, but then no one would own Mickey Mouse. It's not the point that someone else would. It would just be like, well, if you wanted to make a Mickey Mouse, you could. And no one does want to make a Mickey Mouse. That's what we've learned. And no one does want to make a Mickey Mouse.
What do you mean?
Like Disney, outside of the series, it's like whatever. Doesn't really exist at this point.
I think another thing is for smaller properties, and I guess creators kind of get screwed out of their own copyright.
Marvel,
anyway, but,
you know, Marvel and DC have a huge history of that.
Well, I kind of feel like when you're writing for them, that should be expected.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like, as in, you know, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. And
okay, yeah, true. But I mean, more modern. I mean, if you're creating a character for Marvel, it's like that's not yours. Yeah. In more modern times.
It's why Image
Which I think that's fair, honestly. The more not the Jack Kirby stuff, whatever. I don't know about that stuff, but if you're going into write a comic for Marvel, it's like that's like if you're writing on a TV show and you make a new character, it's like, well, you're not gonna own that character because it's a character.
I think that writers actually get at least on some shows, they get a cut when the character they introduce in a script comes back.
Well, that's one
Yeah.
thing, but you don't own it.
No,
though.
you don't. But I think that
You
that's
just like
interesting.
yeah.
I learned some shaky stuff about Image Comics recently that I don't have a good source on it, but someone said, and I was like, oh, apparently it's something like they
Is Image Marvel?
no, Image Comics is a separate. It's like below Dark Horse.
Image is the one made by
Todd McFarlane.
Todd
Yeah.
whatever. Todd McFarlane.
Honestly, I'm not too sure what I heard, but it was something really scummy about like, oh,
Yes, Todd McFarlane. That was it was funded by those the artists who made like Spawn and that type of stuff back in the 90s.
Okay. So basically, the thing within Image Comics is that the way they work is that authors submit their work for a fee, and then if the book like loses the money, they don't pay. They have to pay back that fee. And I think that was what I heard. I was like, well, that's a bit weird.
Say again?
The way Image Comics works is that they only publish stuff that has been submitted to them for a fee, and then if the thing makes no money, they have to pay it back. Like, unless it makes back that money they paid, the artist has to pay it. Which I think is a little
I don't
fun.
totally understand that, but it sounds weird.
It is.
When I Google Image Comics, it says number of employees 18.
Oh.
That doesn't seem right. You know what was a weird thing, kind of somewhat related to this, is that I saw recently like Vertigo Comics, which is DC's like non-DC stuff, you know.
Mhm.
But now that when they're making stuff based on Vertigo Comics, they're turning it into shows or movies or whatever. It's like DC presents, and it's like it's like it's specifically not DC. That was the whole. That's why like I'm expecting Batman to show up in this show now.
Where's Superman?
Yeah, where's all the superheroes? This is just about a border wall. What? Where's the sci-fi element come in? Who owns Dark Horse?
Dark Horse owned Dark Horse.
Oh, I guess I always assume because Vertigo is owned by DC. I guess I always assume that oh yeah, Dark Horse must be Marvel or whatever.
No, Dark Horse it's independent. It's one of the big three, and by that I mean it's
what you
it's,
mean?
it's the
Image,
third
Vertigo.
one. No, I mean
Dark
Marvel. It goes Marvel, DC, and then Dark Horse. But Dark Horse is obviously.
What about Image?
Image is below Dark Horse.
Is Dark Horse called Dark Horse because they're a dark horse in the comics
man,
race?
they do edgy ones. They do edgy ones.
Image doesn't do edgy ones?
They did. I think Dark Horse.
Oh, did Dark Horse
published-
do Preacher?
Let's see.
Or Kick-Ass or whatever?
I think they only. Yeah. No. Who did Preacher?
Or
Vertigo did
the
Preacher. I think
Oh,
Dark
really?
Horse only do. They only do. What's it called?
I think Fables is also Vertigo.
What's it called? They do stuff like the Aliens comics, the Army of Darkness comics, RoboCop, Predator, stuff like that.
How is this the big three? It seems like a lot of the more original stuff is from like Vertigo and Image. It sounds like you're saying Dark Horse just does a lot of IP stuff.
Yeah, that's what they do, but I think they're more. I see them more prominently in comic. Oh, Dark Horse did The Mask and Hellboy. That's it. They invented those.
Oh,
And Sin
I
City.
was like, what? Like based on the movies?
Yeah, of course, based on the movie. And Sin City.
What about Flaming Carrot?
What's that?
Flaming Carrot Comics.
I'm unfamiliar.
Mystery Men.
I don't even know.
Mystery Men.
Blink, blink.
The movie Mystery Men. It's based on their spin-off of Flaming Carrot.
I never even heard of it.
I guess they're not even under a publisher, are they? Huh.
But anyway,
Or-
back to copyright.
they were
Copyright law.
They were in Dark Horse. They were published by Dark Horse, and now they're published, and then they were published by Image.
Talking about copyright law again. I have thoughts on it because I've mentioned this before, but as a Negative Land fan, it's like something I butt heads with a lot because their whole mission statement as a band is to be like, we hate copyright law, and that here's 12 albums about that. And so
What is their stance on copyright law?
just like they
they
just
think
don't-
it shouldn't exist
I
at all?
don't think they think it should exist. I think their stance is that people should be allowed to at least use, like, people should be
I feel like
allowed
copyright
to
is good
create
because
things out of all.
I mean, it's not good in its current state. I feel like its current state probably is like kind of contrary to how it started. Is what I've heard. But I think it's good because people can't be like screwed out of their own IPs in theory.
Yeah.
Maybe not in execution now, but that's the idea, is that it's like to protect creations people have made.
I think their idea is that, like, you should be able to create new stuff out of it. Like, as in, you should be able to take a recording of something and then match it up freely or something like that.
I think thing is, on the internet, there's less copyright stuff for like things made on the internet. Like our podcast, for example, is not copyrighted, and I'm not sure if. Well, I think there's a certain amount of like automatic.
Okay, the way that works is that you own the copyright to the recording you're making, and I own the copyright.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of automatic.
Copyright,
right? Like so you don't have to file anything. Like it's just like, well, it's proven you made this.
You own because that's the thing that.
So like Mr. Boop, it can't be really copyrighted, but the character, I guess, I don't know, like the specific drawings he made are copyrighted or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how it works with visual art, but like I said, in my university.
Are we breaking copyright by describing?
Well, who knows? I think we fall under transformative work.
Yeah.
But I think that
I don't know. It's weird because transformative is always weird because I feel like some reaction videos might count. I don't know if any reaction videos should count, but are we reaction content in a way? I don't know.
No, because we're describing, we're not reacting.
We're doing both, but that is the idea. Yes, we're describing.
I think
I hate reaction content in general. I don't know. It's weirder now with TikTok because the reactions kind of exist alongside the original content as opposed to like making it their own thing, like a lot of reactions stuff does on YouTube specifically, or on Twitch or whatever. But on TikTok, when you react to something, it's like it posts it with the video in a weird, I don't know, kind of.
But yeah,
but copyright's weird on the copyright on the internet in that way is like you can just it's not as official, I guess. I don't know. What are you saying? I don't know what I'm saying. What are you saying?
Well, I'm not really. I think that the ultimate thing is because as part of my university course, we did study copyright law. Ooh la la. And the ultimate conclusion was like a shrug. Like, I don't know. Like, is this okay?
What do you mean?
Like, as in we were looking into cases of, oh, this song has been stolen from this person, blah blah blah. Is this right? Do you think?
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
and that's
been
always
stolen?
kind of a toss up as well, whether that's fair.
Yeah. And we were just like, that was always the
Transformative
conclusion.
things
And someone, but
are
actually,
weird. You can sample a song. Yeah, because I was thinking about this recently with songs that sample other songs. It's like sometimes they're really good, other times it's like it feels like they're just And most songs that sample do it with permission, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're so obvious. It's like, so unless you're like just subconsciously borrowing from a song, you don't even realize.
Yeah.
Like Ray Parker Jr.
You can, yeah, but you can be
Um,
sued for subconscious theft or whatever. You know, it's what got
You can't.
you can. It's what got George Harrison.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But if it is conscious, it's usually like with permission. Usually.
Yeah.
But even so, a lot of it is like they're just doing the same song again but worse.
Mm.
And then sometimes they're not. No, I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, the thing
Like,
is, when I think about people breaking copyright law like that, I never think to myself, I think they need to be punished for this. You know, I don't think that.
But then song covers are also allowed.
Yeah, you have to get permission for a song cover as well.
Well,
Sometimes.
to I guess to publish it. Well, I don't know.
No,
I
think
mean, there's
you-
plenty of video game music covers on like Spotify, and people make money off Spotify.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, you can. It's easy to get permission to cover a song. Is the thing. Like, I think there's like a service you can go through that it just sends it to someone's agent and they click approve. But I think you do need to.
I wish it was that easy to get permission to use Jim Davis's image on my shoes. Instead, I have to like send him a letter, which I still need to do. I feel like that's a natural conclusion to this. That's a natural
it's
end to
just-
this conversation.
I'm not. Yeah, my conclusion is. No, okay. No, what I was gonna say is, you know about the Vanilla Ice thing where he stole Under Pressure or whatever, and then he bought the rights to Under Pressure so that he didn't lose all his money. I don't think I wasn't.
And then put all his money into real estate.
I don't think, like, I'm not thinking to myself, ooh, Vanilla Ice should have been punished for stealing it. You know? I don't want him to be hurt for it. I don't want him to lose a lot of money just because he used someone else's beat.
Even though it was worse.
Even though it was worse, but I don't want him to be. I don't think there's any justice in that. I don't think there's any justice.
Probably
to be had.
not.
It's
I don't
that's
know.
my that's just.
Well,
But there are examples where it is
but also
justice. I think
to an
it's-
extent, who cares? Because he was
Yeah.
someone who was rich enough to afford the rights to the song.
Exactly. But it's like
So it's not like it would have hurt him much anyway, or I guess it would have. But it's like he got out of it in a very
I think that's usually how it
privileged
goes. I
way.
think that's how.
by just buying the rights to the song.
I think that's what happened with George Harrison as well. In his case, he's like, yeah, I'll just own this now, whatever.
What did he do?
He has a song called "My Sweet Lord," and it was I think the bridge or something was identical to a song called "He's So Fine," like the whole thing, and it's very similar. And I think other Beatles were against him. Were like, yeah, no, George
It's funny.
knew that song.
We briefly mentioned Mac Tonight or whatever, and that the same thing happened to Mac Tonight
Oh.
or McDonald's. That's why they discontinued Mac Tonight, is because that was a really weird copyright case, because it was they were sued by someone who had done a cover of the song.
Oh,
So it was a copy. It wasn't a song that was copyrighted because it was so old, but it's like, oh, they're copying the style that this one person who did a cover sung it in. And it's like, not really. Other people sang the song like that, but it's just there with the most famous version.
yeah.
And so it was weird.
Hmm.
Copyright's weird.
Copyright.
I think that's the main conclusion.
Copyright
Copyright's
is weird.
weird.
But I mean, like, I think that it should protect small creators, but it often doesn't. Is what I'm saying.
I don't know if Mr. Boop has a point with. I don't think there's any sort of commentary here. It's just like, it would be funny to, since I'm doing such a weird, like, fan fiction basically, to just have a whole story about that, about the consequences of that,
Yeah,
the hypothetical consequences of that,
perhaps.
if anyone cared, and just like make this elaborate version of that,
Maybe.
which I think is neat.
But I think there's still a point to be had that, like, oh, Betty Boop is older than any of us. I think it's weird that someone still owns her.
Do you think he had a point there? I mean, okay, let's look
I
at
think he
the
might have.
description, the shadow synopsis, the last one, sue me Walt Disney, etc. I don't think he, honestly, I don't think he thought about it that much. I think he maybe thought about it a little bit and thought it would be an interesting, funny thing to write about, but I don't think he's really thought about like a stance he has here. Maybe because I don't even know what my stance is, honestly. It's such a weird subject. It's such a complicated subject.
Mm-hmm.
I assume he has sort of a stance similar to whatever yours is, and I don't think you have a really concrete stance either, right?
Not really.
Yeah, and I feel like his is more similar to your position, where it's like, yeah, copyright is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't disagree with that. But I don't think I don't think he's making a specific point.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's kind of like a general.
I mean,
fuck you, copyright in a way.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really pinpoint a point in this specific strip either. You know?
No, yeah, this was not a good strip to start talking about it. And it's just that we didn't talk about it yet because we talked about too much other stuff in the other episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was interesting when he said "sue me, Walt Disney." Though, like, do you think he actually wants
like I was talking
to be sued by Walt Disney?
Like I'm saying,
I think he does.
The immortality of Walt Disney's back at it.
No,
again.
I think he does want to be sued by the Disney Corporation just because it would be funny.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like I was saying, like the Negative Land thing, that was like bait for U2.
Yeah,
you know, and they did a whole thing about it. It did work
too well because they lost.
They lost all their money. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, it really makes a statement.
Do you think they thought they would lose?
They did. I'm pretty sure. I think they were trying to be like, you think U2 are cool? Well, look at them sue this small label.
I think we were talking about Negative Land off air. There was an album it was off air. There was a Negative Land album. When Negative Land is a band that Lisa knows that she was telling me about. Mm-hmm. And the album cover the album cover made it look like it was an album by U2.
It was.
But to be fair, that I think is a legitimate lawsuit. Like because that's a legit and that's I think a good thing about copyright. I think that's a good use of copyright is because they were.
But the thing is,
what they were doing was satire, but people do things like that not as satire, just to like, especially on the internet. Like I was saying, like.
But the thing is,
you like I just did a video on a shit posting channel I'm a member of, like where we basically on the thumbnail it's like misled people into thinking that Markiplier was in the video because it was a joke. It's a satire, but people do that legitimately to make people like, oh, they're involved in this, and like what Negative Land is doing is to make people think this is a U2 album.
Cool, Negative
even though
Land.
that's the joke, but like. People do things like that legitimately. Yeah, but I think that is a legitimate use of copyright to be like, don't do that.
But the thing is about U2 in this case is that the cover really points out the hypocrisy of it. First of it's 2 letters, it's U and 2, and second of all, in the and
that shouldn't be copyrighted.
Yeah, it's just 2 letters. But also in the center of the image,
I suppose, but it's kind of the way it's used, isn't it?
But in the center of the image, it's a U2 biplane, which the band got their name from. So it's like, well, it's like a target almost. Like, hey, you took the name from a plane. I don't know. And now you're saying we can't use it? You invented it? You own U2? You own the numeral 2? No, the letter U and the numeral 2? It's just...
This reminds me of a topic that is a much bigger topic that I kind of want to talk about right now, but it would have to be a bonus episode. Do you want to edit a bonus episode about me talking about this?
I don't know. Talking about what? I'm gonna say it first.
Surveillance.
Oh,
this would especially be interesting because you're British.
surveillance.
Well, anyway, there's a and this will just be the start, just a teaser for, what was it? Because it feels like their stance there is similar to this stance of a this person named. It feels like their stance there is kind of like an excuse to make a funny, or whatever, like make like we have a point, but it's really just like that's the joke of it or whatever. That's the satire, but like I guess satire has to, I don't know what I'm saying.
It's like I mean you can find YouTube videos and documentaries about this case that explain it more than I do, but it's like it's like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know what being sued by YouTube proved. I guess because they were the hot band at that point.
That's exactly it. Is that it's like they're kind of just, it's almost like they're just making a statement to make a statement.
Yeah,
it's like this is we like.
Or like it's just
shitting on copyright. So here's our art piece.
Yeah.
of a lawsuit.
True.
Which doesn't really have. It's kind of just like made you think.
I think that maybe the intensely getting sued thing was thought about after they did get sued. I think they made this not to be sued, just to be like, hey, look at this hypocrisy of YouTube being like, they're probably gonna say
I think
something.
they probably thought about it as much as Alec Robbins has thought about it here, where it's like, that would be funny. Probably not gonna happen. Oh, it did happen. Oops. Well, this should be funny.
Yeah. And you can buy books on this subject as well. So I mean, like, it's
I've never heard of Negativland before.
Jonathan Gibson's a fan. We had a lengthy discussion about him with him.
Oh yeah. Right, you told me this. And I think I don't know, maybe Alec Robbins has thought about it a little bit more. But I think it would be funny. I don't think he wants to go through the trouble of the lawsuit, but I think there's a part of him that, maybe I'm overanalyzing here, but when he says, sue me, Walt Disney, I don't think it's a complete joke. I think there's a part of him that's like, I would love to have Disney lawyers
Disney versus
explaining
Mr.
this strip in a court.
Why you can't draw Mickey Mouse with his dick out? Yeah,
exactly. Well, you could. I feel like a good argument for that would be no. See, your honor here. You can be the honor here.
Yes, young man.
Your honor. As you can clearly see, my client did not draw Mickey Mouse. He drew his original character, Mickey the Dick. I have here a copy of the Disney Bible, and as you can see, when Mickey is drawn without any clothes, he does not have any genitalia. He's like a Ken doll down there, so to speak. That is a direct quote from Walt Disney himself.
Now let's flash back to Walt Disney.
Huh?
We
have footage here of a quote from Walt Disney explaining this. Roll the tape, Your Honor.
Mickey Mouse. When I drew Mickey Mouse, he had no dick, and he will never have a dick. And as long as he has a dick, that's no Mickey in my eyes. God, your Lord, unfreeze me.
As you can see, Your Honor, very, very clear-cut case. This is not Mickey Mouse. This is my client Alec Robbins' character, Mickey the Dick. Completely different character. I know he did say in the description, Your Honor, objection. He clearly said in the description of the Patreon upload, "Sue me, Walt Disney, you fucker."
But he didn't say win. He didn't say. He said sue me, not win the case.
I think I've seen enough here. Case dismissed. Alright, well, did we finish reading this strip?
I don't remember.
I don't think we did. Did we read the last panel?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
We
did.
had a lot to say about it.
Well, who's hosting? I'm hosting. I think this is I think I already said that. Yeah, it's a funny strip. Whatever. Yeah. Okay, you've been listening to. This is too long of an episode. That copyright thing could be its own bonus episode, but it's too on topic.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Being Mr. Boop. You're still here?
I thought you'd leave when we started talking about copyright law.
Yeah, it was way too serious of a digression. You can visit the show's website at www.beingmrboop.com for our full catalog of episodes and to sign up to host the podcast. For more updates, follow at Mr. Boop Pod on Twitter. And you can follow Fleischer Studios at Mr. Boop Prez.
You can
On Twitter.
You can find me on.
No, that was the wrong Mr. Boop Prez. No, it's Boop Prez Says at Boop Prez Says Prez.
And you can find me. You can buy my new album.
You can find Lisa at Betty Boop Japan.
You can find my new album, The Beatles, by the band Child Pornography.
What?
It's another band that did fucky stuff. I was trying to think of another album that was Beatles.
Is that a thing like basically along the same lines as showing Mickey Mouse with his dick out? Like they want to be like, oh, just to piss people off, like to have the band is called Child Pornography?
Yeah, the band's called Child Pornography.
So they want it, so
Yeah,
it's like to
it's
piss
good.
people off by associating the Beatles with child pornography, basically. Weird.
You can find me at bandcamp.com/thebeatles.
Did anything happen with that?
No. I don't even think I think that's an obscure example that I know for some reason.
Yeah, probably. Well, thank you and good night.
You can find me at the Beatles UK at bandcamp.com.
It's already fading. It's already fading.
You don't get to say that.
Welcome to the world famous Betty Boop. She was a little lucky guy. So in love might make you puke. She's the apple of his eye. Sit right down, we're gonna give you the scoop with Ryan Pfeiffer and Lisa Doop. Stammer lamma ding dong loop de loop. This is the story of a guy named Mr. Boop.
This podcast was brought to you by the Pitch Drop Podcast Network. Like what you just heard? Support the show by going to patreon.com/pitchdrop. And while you're at it, check out pitchdrop.net for more of this and other shows.